What is going on, guys? MMA Island team. We got the fight picks, and we got the co-main event of the evening. We got Robbie Ruthless Lawler making his comeback fight up against Neil.
No. Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Say it right. Jesus.
It gets me wrong every time, man. And I know that it's Ruthless Robbie Lawler, but every time I read it and it says it in the middle, we got Ruthless Robbie Lawler taking on, is it the Haitian sensation Neil Magny? Because this site needs to change the way they put it. I'm not going to name drop, but it throws me off every time, man. Shout out to downtown TJ Brown. So we got Ruthless Robbie Lawler taking on Neil, the Haitian sensation, Magny. But it wasn't supposed to be that matchup. I wasn't supposed to mess up the name because it was supposed to be Jeff Neal taking on Neil Magny. Obviously, we know the hell scare with Jeff Neal. Go check out the interview with MMA Island with our own Zach here. But that's a banger of a fight. In steps Ruthless Robbie Lawler to face Neil Magny. Very, very interesting fight, man. The thing you got to mention about Robbie Lawler here is looking at his last fights. So he fights RDA, and RDA is just able to outpoint him the entire fight. Fights Ben Askren. Obviously, everybody knows how that fight went down. He was kind of beating the crap out of him for the first part. Ben Askren's able to get the bulldog choke. Robbie Lawler goes out and then comes back into play, and then the fight gets stopped. I want to know your opinion on that quickly. Did Robbie Lawler go out?
I do think so, actually. That's one of my more controversial takes. I do think he was out for a second.
I think he was out, and then I think when Herb Dean put his hand on Ben Askren,
he woke up.
Wait, what? And let loose. And if you guys have ever not ever been choked out, but ever been in those situations where your head's being squeezed, you know that you can lose consciousness for a second.
And someone with the squeeze of Ben Askren crushing watermelons.
Exactly. So I'm looking for Neil Magny in this one, and I got to go with Neil Magny on this one. I just think that looking at, and I didn't even mention this, Robbie Lawler's fight against Colby Covington. A lot of people were saying that Robbie Lawler was going to destroy Colby Covington.
That's bias.
Totally biased, because you're looking at Colby Covington and saying that Colby Covington is just not your greatest, not your favorite fighter, I guess you could say. And then he goes and just kind of gets pieced up against by Colby Covington. So Colby Covington was just able to piece up Robbie Lawler the entire way. And Robbie Lawler just wasn't really able to let it go. He wasn't able to let it loose. Passing on to Neil Magny. Neil Magny has had some very, very impressive fights, at least as of recently. He gets knocked out by Ponzinibbio, who everybody knows is just a beast, and we need to see him fight again.
Yes, please. It's been too long.
100% need to see him fight again. But man, talking about Magny's had some really good decisions against Anthony Rocco Martin and Leach. So I really think that this one is another one that's kind of slated to go decision victory for Neil Magny, because Robbie Lawler just kind of wasn't able to pull the trigger against Colby Covington. Colby Covington and Neil Magny are different in a totally different in many ways. The difference that it makes for me is I think Neil Magny's very, very good with his footwork, setting up his strikes. He's able to kind of differentiate himself and not so much be easy to read, easy to predict what he's about to do. He's able to set up his strikes, able to even bring in some takedowns and just kind of make his game plan. He's really smart with his game plan, especially with recently. Talking about Neil Magny, the dude's got amazing striking defense. You could definitely say the same with Robbie Lawler, but the things that are going to play the difference for me is the volume of Neil Magny, the range of Neil Magny, the striking differential of Neil Magny, the height of Neil Magny, the reach advantage of Neil Magny. Oh man, there's just so much that goes towards Neil Magny. I love Ruthless Robbie Lawler. One of my favorite fights I've ever watched. I'm sure you guys can guess which one it is. I just think that this is just a bad matchup for him with this one. I don't think it's the end of Ruthless. I just think that you can look at Neil Magny in this one and kind of say that he's the favorable matchup here. And I think that one's definitely true. I think he's got the advantage in many, many different areas. The game plan for Robbie Lawler is definitely just to kind of keep the fight where he wants it and not so much let Neil Magny take it wherever he wants it. But I digress. I'll pass it on to Zach.
I hate to agree with you because, man, do I want to see Robbie Lawler win this fight. I think everyone wants to see Robbie Lawler win this fight because he's Robbie Lawler, one of the more universally beloved fighters in the UFC. People just love this guy, and for very, very good reason. He has given the MMA fans some of the greatest fights to ever exist in our entire sport of MMA. I mean, winning fight of the year for 3 straight years is ridiculous. And his wars as champion with Rory McDonald and Carlos Condit, some of the better fights you can watch. And you should go and watch those fights if you love MMA because, man, those fights are just amazing. But he has not looked, Brutal Bob has not looked the same as of late. And the fight against Colby Covington was legitimately depressing to watch because, yes, I picked Colby Covington. I had to go through my own internal bias to pick Colby Covington. But, God, that fight is depressing to watch. I mean, he just got his ass beaten. It's one of the more one-sided performances I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And you mentioned something really smart with Neil Magny having the height and reach advantage because he is absolutely the much bigger man. He is 6'3" to Lawler's 5'11" and an 80-inch reach, which gives him a 6-inch reach advantage. And ever since he's come back from his long layoff against Ponzinibbio, because, man, Ponzinibbio is the absolute enigma of the division because he is this killer, stone cold killer, and we have not seen him fight ever since the fight with Neil Magny. But okay, Robbie Lawler, we know what he does. If he's going to win this fight, he's going to have to knock out Neil Magny. He is not going to out cardio him at all. You know why? Neil Magny is from the camp of Cardio Kings Elevation Fight Team, and their fighters are taking over Bar Austin Hubbard as of late. And that's the one thing. That's how I see this fight going, is Neil Magny is just going to keep Robbie Lawler at range. Because if you keep him there, and the one thing that he's very good is he's establishing his jab. If he has a reach advantage, he will establish his jab and the leg kicks. That's something we've seen from Neil Magny. It's something he picked up from Santiago Ponzinibbio. You never saw him leg kick to the extent that he did, but then when he saw how effective they were against him from Ponzinibbio, he implemented it into his game. And that shows me something if you can learn from your opponents, especially the ones you've lost to, it makes you more dangerous. And we've seen that. And he came in and he just absolutely destroyed Li Jingliang. And a lot of people did not see that coming. I didn't see it coming because Jingliang had all the hype in the world behind him. He just beat Eliseo Delisque dos Santos. I mean, that doesn't mean much anymore, but he should have beaten Muslim Salikov. Those judges were out of their minds. But again, I digress. Everything in this fight is pointing towards me saying that Neil Magny is going to win a decision because it's just how it's going to be. He's not going to knock out Robbie Lawler. He's one of the more durable fighters ever. I mean, we've seen what he's endured throughout his career. I mean, parts of his lip just disappeared. And I can't see him winning by decision, and I can't see him submitting Neil Magny either. And you really can't favor the guy whose only path to victory is a puncher's chance. That's the one thing you can't value that too highly. And someone, I think at this point, Neil Magny is absolutely the more technically better fighter. And I really want this to be Robbie Lawler's last ride. Maybe he gets one more can to beat before riding off in the sunset because I don't want to be hurt more watching this fighter who is absolutely beloved by the entire MMA community to just get out there and get his ass beaten. No one wants to see that. But unfortunately, I think it's going to happen. I'm picking Neil Magny by decision.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will probably agree with you on this one. I think if you're taking Robbie Lawler, kind of ask yourself, is this really what you think, or is this what you hope? I think everybody, if you're an MMA fan, you got to be a Robbie Lawler fan. Man, it's going to be tough to watch, and I think Robbie Lawler does have a chance. So, man, don't get me wrong. We're saying this with high confidence, but Robbie Lawler could do it. He could do it. If anybody could do it, it could be Robbie Lawler. But hey, I think the safe pick, and Zach agrees with me, and I want to know if you guys agree with us on this one, is the safe pick is Neil Magny. So we're going with Neil Magny on this one. I want to know what you guys think, as I mentioned. So make sure you guys are dropping your comments, letting us know, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and checking out the other Fight Pick videos.